Hey everyone, and welcome to a deep dive on something super important, especially if you're in the business world.
Resilience.
Right, resilience.
Yeah.
And speaking of resilience,
Yeah.
perfect timing because Robert Flowers
Oh, yeah.
has this new book coming out next week called From Setback to Comeback, Finding Your Strength in Tough Times. And we'll link to that in the show notes.
Absolutely.
So this deep dive kind of gives you a sneak peek
Yeah, it's a great overview.
into what the book's all about.
Yeah.
We're going to unpack the why, and the how of resilience. And I think one of the most fascinating things
Oh, definitely.
got to talk about is how your brain can actually rewire itself to be more resilient.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
Neuroplasticity. It's incredible.
And we've also got the difference between perseverance and resilience,
Yeah,
which people mix up all the time.
they do.
And then we've got real world examples of businesses that just totally rocked it thanks to their resilience.
Right. Yeah, so let's start with the basics. What even is resilience? It's not just about bouncing back, right?
So it's not like a rubber band just snapping back to its original shape.
No, not at all. It's about growth and adaptation. You know, if you think about it, like if a company gets hit by a massive economic downturn,
Oh, yeah.
they could just, try to survive, but what if they use that to become stronger?
Right.
Develop new strategies, become more flexible. That's what resilience looks like in action.
So it's about using those challenges to really level up.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important for you guys listening, whether you're dealing with, a tough market or leading a team through change or just wanting to handle anything life throws at you.
Right, like having those tools in your back pocket.
Absolutely.
Now, this is where it gets really cool. The science behind all this.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we've got mind-blowing stuff from neuroscience and psychology that really shows how resilience actually works.
Yeah, it's fascinating how it all comes together. The psychological stuff, the neurological stuff, even environmental factors.
Right.
They all play a part.
And one thing that really blew my mind
Oh, tell me.
was this idea of brain plasticity.
Oh, yeah.
Our brains can actually rewire themselves based on what we go through.
That's right. It's amazing.
Isn't that insane?
It is. It just goes to show how adaptable the human brain is.
Right.
Think about it. Every time you face a challenge and work through it, you're basically giving your brain a workout.
Oh, wow.
You're strengthening its ability to handle stress and adapt to tough situations down the road.
So basically, facing challenges can actually make us more resilient.
That's the idea. The more you work that mental muscle, the better you'll handle whatever comes your way in your work and in your personal life.
That's such a relief to hear.
It is. It's encouraging.
Okay, now here's something that always trips people up.
Yeah.
The difference between resilience and perseverance.
Oh, yeah.
They seem similar on the surface, but there's a key difference, right?
There is. And it's a really common mix-up. I like to use an analogy to explain it. Imagine a runner who only trains on flat ground.
Okay.
They might have amazing perseverance putting in hours and hours of training.
Right, right.
But what happens when they face a course with hills or rough terrain?
I'm guessing they hit a wall. They're not prepared for that.
Exactly. They haven't developed the skills to adapt. You see, resilience is like having that steering wheel that allows you to navigate those unexpected turns, while perseverance is the engine pushing you forward.
So in the business world, knowing when to push harder.
Perseverance.
Right, perseverance versus when to change direction.
Yeah, resilience.
Could be the difference between succeeding and failing.
Absolutely. And that decision-making is heavily influenced by certain mental traits that resilient people tend to have.
Like what kind of traits are we talking about here?
Well, emotional regulation is a big one.
Okay.
Imagine a leader staying completely calm under pressure during a huge negotiation.
Right.
Or an entrepreneur who, faces a major setback, but just calmly assesses the situation and comes up with a new plan. That's emotional regulation in action.
So it's not letting your emotions kind of hijack.
Exactly. You're not letting them control you.
Right.
And then there's cognitive flexibility.
Okay.
Being able to shift your thinking, see problems from different angles, and come up with creative solutions.
Right.
Think about a company facing falling sales figures, but they managed to successfully pivot to a new market. That adaptability is pure gold.
So we need that emotional regulation to stay calm.
Right.
And then that cognitive flexibility to adapt and find solutions.
Exactly. And the best part is these aren't things you're just born with.
Oh, that's good.
They're skills you can develop with practice.
That's encouraging to hear. I'm really curious to learn more about how our brains are actually involved in all of this.
Yeah.
What about the biological side of resilience?
That's where neuroplasticity comes in.
Yeah.
Just like physical exercise strengthens your muscles, Mental exercises and challenges can strengthen your brain's ability to handle stress.
So we can actually train our brains to be more resilient.
You got it.
Is it really that simple?
In a way, yes. A big part of that training involves building healthy stress response systems. Because stress isn't always a bad thing, right?
Right.
It's how you manage it that matters.
So learning to manage stress effectively could actually help me make better decisions when things get crazy at work.
Exactly. When you're not overwhelmed by stress, you can think more clearly and make more rational choices.
So there's a benefit for my work and
Yeah.
for my personal life.
Absolutely. And there's a bonus. Resilience isn't just good for your mental game.
Oh,
It can actually improve your physical health, too.
really?
Yeah.
What kind of physical benefits are we talking about?
Well, studies have shown that resilient people tend to be healthier overall.
Wow.
They have a lower risk of stress-related illnesses, and they recover from setbacks faster, both physically and emotionally.
So building resilience is good for business and good for my health.
It's a win-win.
It is a win-win.
And what's really cool is that it's an ongoing process. You know, every challenge you overcome, every lesson you learn adds to your overall resilience.
Okay, so we've defined resilience.
Yep.
We've explored the science behind it. We've looked at those psychological and biological factors.
Right.
But how does all of this play out in the real world of business?
That's where case studies come in. They show us how resilience works in action and give us practical insights we can learn from.
And we've got two great case studies from the source material.
Yeah.
Company X
Uh-huh.
and AN Global Consulting.
Let's start with Company X. What's interesting about them is how their existing resilience plan and adaptable culture helped them navigate the crazy challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic.
So they were already prepared
In a way,
for a major disruption.
they had a business continuity plan in place, and their leadership had fostered a culture that valued agility and quick decision-making.
What kind of things did they actually do when the pandemic hit?
Well, they immediately activated their business continuity plan,
Oh, yeah.
which included shifting most of their employees to remote work. Right.
They also prioritized clear and consistent communication both internally and with their customers.
So they were really on top of it.
They were.
Did they have to make any changes to how they ran their business or their overall strategies?
They did. They recognized that they needed to diversify their supply chain to avoid relying too much on any single source. They also ramped up their digital capabilities to better serve customers in a virtual world.
So they weren't just reacting to the crisis.
No.
They were taking action and adapting their strategies to make sure they could survive in the long term.
That's right. That proactive approach is a hallmark of resilient businesses.
Now let's talk about Global Consulting.
Okay.
Their approach to resilience seems to be all about collaboration and putting the customer first.
That's a good observation. They really focus on helping businesses develop comprehensive resilience strategies that cover everything from risk assessment to engaging with stakeholders.
So they're not just advising businesses on how to survive a crisis.
Sure.
They're actually helping them build a foundation for long-term resilience.
They understand that resilience isn't a one-time fix.
Right.
It's an ongoing process of planning, adapting, and evolving.
And it sounds like they really emphasize that collaboration piece.
They do. They believe that businesses can't face challenges alone. You know, building strong relationships with stakeholders, including customers, suppliers, even competitors, could be a huge source of support and resilience.
That makes sense. It aligns with the idea that resilience isn't just an individual trait.
Right.
It's something that can be fostered at the organizational level as well.
Absolutely. A resilient business is built on shared values, strong relationships, and a culture that embraces change and continuous learning.
So we've looked at two very different companies.
Yeah.
But both have achieved success through resilience, just in different ways.
That's a really important point. There's no one-size-fits-all blueprint for resilience.
Right.
The specific strategies and approaches that work best will depend on the industry, the size of the company, and the specific challenges they face. But what we can learn from both of these case studies is that resilience isn't some magical quality that some businesses have and others don't.
Exactly.
It comes from making deliberate choices, planning ahead, and committing to a culture that sees challenges as opportunities for growth.
It's a mindset shift.
And speaking of learning from others, remember that Robert Flower's new book is coming out next week.
That's right. From setback to comeback, finding your strength in tough times.
Such a great title.
It
I'm
is.
definitely adding that to my reading list.
Me too.
We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors.
So we were just talking about these companies that used resilience to really thrive, but let's shift gears and get practical.
Okay.
What can our listeners actually do to build up their own resilience muscles?
That's what I'm really interested in.
Yeah.
We've talked about what resilience is and why it's important, but now I want to know how.
Right, how to make it happen.
Exactly.
One of the most basic but powerful strategies is mindfulness. And this is about being super aware of the present moment without judgment. You're observing your thoughts, your feelings, and even your physical sensations without getting swept away by them.
That sounds pretty simple,
hmm
but how does that actually make you more resilient?
Well, mindfulness gives you this ability to detach from negative thoughts and emotions. So instead of getting totally overwhelmed, you can just observe those feelings without letting them control you.
Mm.
And that creates space for clear thinking, even when things are super stressful.
Oh, yeah.
Think about how valuable that could be in a tough business negotiation
Right.
or when you're dealing with a difficult client.
So instead of getting caught up in the drama of a challenging situation,
Yeah.
mindfulness helps you stay grounded
Exactly.
and keep things in perspective.
It's about recognizing that thoughts and emotions come and go.
Right.
They're not always a true reflection of reality.
Mm.
And when you develop this awareness, you can actually choose how to respond to situations instead of just reacting on impulse.
Okay, so are there specific mindfulness techniques that are particularly helpful for building resilience?
Oh, yeah. There are tons.
I've heard a lot about meditation lately. Is that something that can help?
Meditation is a great one.
Okay.
It involves focusing on your breath or a specific object
Uh-huh.
to quiet the mind and increase your self-awareness.
Okay.
And even just a few minutes of meditation every day can make a big difference in how you regulate your emotions and handle stress.
So besides meditation, what are some other things people can do?
Well, you can practice mindful breathing exercises anywhere, anytime.
Right.
Just focus on the feeling of each inhale and exhale.
Hmm.
It's super simple, but it can really calm your nervous system and reduce anxiety.
Okay.
Another great technique is body scan meditation, where you bring your attention to different parts of your body and notice any sensations or tension.
Interesting.
This helps you connect with your physical self and promotes relaxation.
And this ties back to what we were talking about before,
It does.
about the brain rewiring itself.
Right.
Like, all of this can actually contribute to that brain plasticity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Literally rewiring your brain for greater resilience.
Those all sound like things I could actually fit into my day. But resilience isn't just about those individual practices, right?
You're right. It's not. It's also about fostering resilience at the organizational level.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Mhm.
How do we build a resilient workplace culture?
Well, a key part of that is promoting psychological safety.
Okay, what does that mean?
It's about creating an environment where people feel comfortable speaking up, sharing ideas, and even admitting mistakes without fear of getting in trouble.
That sounds like it could lead to a lot more innovation.
It definitely does.
If people feel safe to share their ideas,
Right.
they're probably more likely to come up with creative solutions and take risks.
Exactly. When people feel safe to express themselves, they're more likely to contribute their unique perspectives, experiment with new ideas, and be open to feedback. And that open exchange is essential for problem solving and adaptability,
Right.
which are both critical for a resilient organization.
So imagine a team
Yeah.
where everyone feels comfortable challenging the way things are done.
Right.
And brainstorming new approaches.
Exactly.
Even if those approaches seem unconventional.
That's the kind of environment where innovation thrives.
So how do leaders actually create that sense of psychological safety
That's a great question.
within their teams?
Yeah.
What are some specific things they can do?
It starts with leading by example. Leaders who are willing to acknowledge their own vulnerabilities,
Okay.
admit mistakes, and encourage constructive feedback.
Right.
They create a culture where it's okay to not be perfect.
I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
It seems counterintuitive that admitting weakness could actually make a team stronger.
But it's true. Vulnerability is a key ingredient in building trust and connection. When a leader shows that it's okay to not have all the answers and to make mistakes,
Yeah.
it creates a safe space for others to be open and honest as well. And that fosters a culture of learning and growth, where setbacks are seen as opportunities for improvement,
Right.
not as reasons to blame someone.
It's like in Robert Flower's book, From Setback to Comeback.
Exactly.
It's about embracing those setbacks and using them as fuel
Right.
to learn and grow.
That's the idea.
So leading by example is crucial.
Yeah.
But are there other things leaders can do
Oh, there are tons of things.
to promote psychological safety? What about things like active listening?
Oh, yeah. Active listening is huge.
and encouraging feedback.
That's important too.
Okay, so tell me more about that.
Well, when a leader really listens to their employees' concerns, ideas, and feedback,
Hmm.
it shows respect and makes people feel valued.
Right.
And that encourages open communication and creates a sense of shared ownership,
Okay.
which is so important when it comes to tackling challenges and finding solutions together as a team.
So it's not just about receiving feedback gracefully,
Yeah.
it's about actively seeking it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Leaders who regularly ask for feedback from their team members and who then actually act on that feedback, they're sending a clear message that your opinions matter and I'm committed to creating an environment where you feel comfortable sharing them.
So it sounds like creating a resilient workplace culture is really all about empowering people to be their best selves without being afraid to make mistakes
Yeah,
or to speak their minds.
absolutely. It's about creating that sense of shared purpose where everyone feels valued and supported and working towards a common goal. And that sense of belonging and shared responsibility, that's a powerful driver of resilience for individuals and for the organization as a whole.
All this talk about psychological safety
Yeah.
and shared purpose makes me think about the importance of company culture. Do you think there's a connection between a company's culture
Oh, absolutely.
and its ability to be resilient?
There's a strong connection. A company with a culture that values openness, collaboration, and learning from mistakes is going to be way more resilient than a company with a culture of fear,
Right.
blame, and rigidity.
So in a resilient culture,
Yeah.
people are encouraged to experiment,
Uh-huh.
to take risks, and to view setbacks as opportunities for growth.
Exactly. And that kind of mindset is essential for navigating the inevitable challenges that come with running a business in today's world.
This has been so helpful. We've explored so many practical techniques,
Oh, yeah.
from individual mindfulness practices to these organizational strategies
Yeah.
for promoting psychological safety.
Yeah.
I bet our listeners are starting to see how they can apply these insights to their own lives and workplaces.
I hope so. And remember, building resilience is an ongoing journey. It's about continuously learning, adapting, and refining your approach based on your experiences.
Right.
The key is to start somewhere, no matter how small the step. Just like building physical fitness,
Right.
consistency is key when it comes to building resilience.
Okay, so before we move on, I want to touch on something that comes up a lot in discussions about resilience.
Okay.
The role of setbacks and failures.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
We always hear that failure is a necessary part of success. But how does that actually relate to resilience?
Well, resilient individuals and organizations view setbacks and failures not as endpoints, but as valuable learning opportunities. They recognize that mistakes are inevitable,
Right.
but it's how you respond to those mistakes that really matters.
So it's not about trying to avoid failure altogether.
Yeah,
It's about changing how you think about it.
exactly.
Yeah.
And instead of seeing failure as a sign of weakness or incompetence,
Right.
resilient people see it as a valuable feedback.
So they ask themselves,
Yeah.
what can I learn from this experience?
Uh-huh.
How can I use this setback to improve my approach in the future?
That's exactly it.
So it's about turning a negative experience into a positive learning opportunity.
Exactly. And that shift in perspective is essential for developing a growth mindset, which is a key characteristic of resilient people.
Speaking of growth mindset, can you remind us what that means?
Sure. A growth mindset is the belief that our abilities and intelligence aren't fixed, but can be developed through effort, learning, and persistence. People with a growth mindset embrace challenges. They see them as opportunities to stretch their abilities and expand their knowledge.
So instead of seeing a difficult task as something they can't do,
Right.
they see it as a chance to learn and grow.
Exactly. They view obstacles not as roadblocks, but as stepping stones on their path to development.
Okay, so how can we actually cultivate a growth mindset, both for ourselves and within our teams?
Well, it starts with becoming aware of our own fixed mindset beliefs.
Okay.
Those limiting beliefs we hold about ourselves and our abilities.
Yeah.
You know, things like, I'm not good at math, or I'm not a creative person.
Right. We all have those.
Yeah, we all do.
To some extent.
To some extent. And once you've identified those beliefs, you can start to challenge them by looking for evidence to the contrary.
So if someone believes they're not good at math, they could remind themselves of times when they've actually been successful at solving math problems.
Right, or when they've learned new mathematical concepts.
So it's about actively looking for evidence
Yeah.
that contradicts those limiting beliefs.
Exactly. And by doing that, you can start to chip away at those negative beliefs and replace them with more empowering ones.
And this shift in mindset
Yeah.
isn't just beneficial for individuals.
No, it's not.
It can really impact organizations as a whole.
Absolutely. A company that fosters a growth mindset among its employees is going to be more innovative, adaptable, and resilient in the face of challenges.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
If your employees are constantly seeking out new learning opportunities
Right.
and aren't afraid to experiment and take risks,
Yeah.
your company is going to be much better equipped to
Exactly.
handle whatever comes its way.
That willingness to experiment and learn from mistakes, that's what drives progress and innovation, which are both essential for long-term success in today's world.
This discussion has been so enlightening.
It has been fun.
We've explored so many facets of resilience, from the biological and psychological underpinnings to practical techniques and strategies for building it both individually and organizationally.
Uh-huh.
We even talked about how important it is to change our perspective on failure
Right.
and cultivate a growth mindset. I'm sure our listeners are walking away with a ton of valuable insights.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And remember, building resilience is a journey, not a destination.
It's a continuous process of learning, adapting, and evolving.
Exactly.
And it's a journey worth taking.
Absolutely.
We'll be right back to wrap up our exploration of resilience. Okay, so we've been talking about all these great tools and techniques for building resilience.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if there's something deeper, something that really fuels that resilience.
You're right, there is.
Something that keeps us going when things get tough.
And it's something we haven't really talked directly yet.
What's that?
Purpose.
Okay.
Having a clear sense of purpose is like having a compass that guides you through difficult times.
So when you know why you're doing what you're doing,
Yeah.
it gives you that meaning and motivation to overcome challenges.
It's like having that North Star to guide you even when you're lost at sea.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
And in the business world, a strong sense of purpose can be so powerful
Absolutely.
for building that resilience within an organization.
It brings everyone together.
So when everyone in the company is aligned around a shared mission
Right.
and a set of values,
It creates a feeling of unity and collective purpose.
that can help them weather any storm.
Exactly. And come out stronger on the other side.
So it's not just about having a fancy mission statement
No.
hanging on the wall.
It's about really living and breathing that purpose.
In every aspect of the company.
And every decision you make, every action you take, it needs to be woven into the fabric of the company.
So when employees feel that strong connection to the company's purpose,
Yeah.
they're more likely to be engaged,
Uh,
motivated, and resilient.
more resilient when things get tough.
They're not just showing up for a paycheck.
Right.
They're showing up to make a difference.
Exactly. And that sense of mission can be so powerful
Yeah.
for individuals and organizations. It's what gives you that strength to keep going.
When things get tough.
Yeah. It fuels your passion and keeps you focused on the bigger picture.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into resilience, I'd love to hear any final thoughts you have for our listeners.
Sure.
What are some key takeaways
Okay.
they should keep in mind as they continue on this journey?
Well, I think first and foremost, remember that resilience isn't something you're born with.
Right.
It's a skill you can develop over time with consistent effort and practice.
Right.
Just like building physical strength takes time and dedication, so does building mental and emotional resilience.
And it's a journey, not a destination.
Exactly.
There will always be setbacks and challenges along the way, but how you respond to those challenges is what defines your resilience.
It's about embracing the ups and downs and using them as opportunities to learn and grow.
And you don't have to go it alone.
That's right.
Building a support system, whether it's colleagues, mentors, friends, can provide invaluable guidance and encouragement along the way.
Surround yourself with people who believe in you.
Right.
And who can offer support when you need it most.
And speaking of support and guidance,
Oh, yeah.
don't forget about Robert Flower's new book.
That's right. From Setback to Comeback, Finding Your Strength in Tough Times.
It's a fantastic resource for anyone who wants to dive deeper.
Packed with practical insights and strategies.
This deep dive into resilience has been incredible.
It has.
We've explored the science, the psychology,
Yeah.
the real-world applications
Yeah.
of this essential skill.
Yeah.
I hope our listeners feel inspired
Me too.
and empowered to take action and start building their own resilience.
One step at a time.
Exactly, one step at a time.
And be kind to yourself along the way.
Oh, that's so important.
Celebrate your successes, learn from your setbacks, and never underestimate your incredible capacity for growth and adaptation.
Resilience is a journey, not a race.
Well said.
And it's one we can all take together. Until next time, keep diving deep and keep building your resilience.